Okay.
We didn't have any written statements or any people sign up to speak.
All
So
right.
no is the short answer.
We're going to dive right into approving minutes.
Okay, you should be live now, so you're good to go.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Good evening, everyone. We are going to dive into our instruction work group. We have two major areas of focus this evening. So we'll be talking about community schools, and we will also be speaking more broadly about our partnerships tonight. Before we get into our first agenda item, we're going to pass some minutes. I move to approve the minutes from the instruction work group meeting dated March 3rd, 2025. Can I get a second?
Second, Maya.
I beat you, Maya.
Thank you
Good
so
job,
much.
Amy.
Thank you so much, Board President Nichols. All those in favor of approving our minutes, raise your hand or say aye. All right, I'm sorry, y'all. I can only see so many of you right now. I believe that passes unanimously, 6-0. All right. We're going to move this meeting right along. We are starting this evening with a focus on our community schools program. I'm going to turn it over first to our superintendent, Dr. Gothard, and then we will hear from Cindy Green and the team as it relates to our community schools.
Thank you, Chair Muldrow, members of the board, staff who are joining us tonight. Excited to have so many people contributing to tonight's meeting. So looking forward to our conversation. Just want to say that, upon coming back to MMSD, it's been a bit of a learning curve for me, and hearing about the history and the start of community schools and MMSD. Something I've always been really proud of is the way that our schools and community partner together. But this has given us a really, I think, detailed and focused effort and initiative on how we can take this one step deeper. And that is truly make sure that we're meeting children where they're at, either at school, in the community, with the community, and that we really look to remove barriers that students have and families have to making sure that students are successful. So again, I think that tonight is for me, it's really the beginning of a conversation that I know started a couple of years ago in MMSD, at least in this way, and really looking to give the board an update tonight, hear your feedback, and see just what can we do to make sure that we're on the right track and that we've got the right partnerships in place to do this really important work. The other thing I will say is that it occurs to me that every one of our 53 schools believes they're a community school, and they certainly are. Our schools belong to the community. Our school communities have heard me say this oftentimes. And I think that what this has done is it's given us a roadmap to deepen some of the partnerships. And I know I'm looking at principals right now who have toured me through their schools, and to see how proud they are of the work that they've been able to do with their community is really exciting. And for me, it also gives me energy and direction to see how we can guide all of our schools to make sure that they're guiding or that they're serving their communities in this way. So enough from me. Look forward to hearing everybody tonight. And again, really appreciate you being here. I'll turn it over right now to Cindy Green so she can kick off tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Board Chair Mulder, and thank you, Dr. Gothard. Jesse, could you? Perfect. I didn't even have to cue you up. Thank you. Okay. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. We're back in the land of, I see, thank you. Board President Nichols gave a thumbs up. So good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Green. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And tonight, we are excited to provide two updates for you. Dr. Gothard shared a little bit, but the board I know has been very interested in asking for updates around our community schools, both the investment that we have made into a large number of staff, as well as the investments in our full service community schools. In addition to that, we will provide an update on our strategic partnerships, another area that the board has invested a significant amount of funding, and we're really proud of the work that we do every day with our community and community partners. So both of these updates tonight will give you a glimpse into what is happening across our schools and what is happening with our community partnerships. We We have a host of individuals that are part of this presentation tonight. You will hear from our team as well as a few of our principals. But in addition to that, many of the staff that are in our schools every day leading this work are also on this Zoom in the event that when questions come up, we're able to hear from them as well. Jesse, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you so much. So as always, we ground in our 3 strategic framework goals. Tonight, I hope that you will be able to see how we are making sure that we are uplifting each one of these goals. Every child is on track to graduate college, career, community ready. The district and every school in it is a place where children, staff, and families thrive. And our 3rd goal, African American children and youth excel in school. Next slide, Jesse. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Adam Clausen and Sarita Foster. Adam Clausen is our Director of Engagement, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, and Sarita Foster is our lead for our community schools. They will take you through an update, and they will also introduce some of our principals that are in the space tonight as well. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Adam.
Thanks a lot, Cindy. Board Chair Muldrow and the rest of the Board of Education. We appreciate the invitation to join you all, give you an update. We regret that we can't be in person and feel all of your energy. I know the last couple of years we've been able to share space with you and feel your energy and an enthusiasm for community schools, but I'm glad we have this tool still to convene tonight. As Cindy mentioned, I'm joined tonight with Sarita Foster, and she is our community school manager. You'll be hearing stories from Principal Matt Thompson at La Follette, Principal Melanie Thiel at Gillespie Middle School, and Principal Lucy Sieber at Hawthorne Elementary. So with that, we will jump right in. Next slide, please, Jesse. We really do want to express our appreciation and gratitude for the significant investments that each of you have made, this board has made, in the staffing and programming for these strategic equity projects. You have resourced nearly 2/3 of our schools with additional support for over 2.5 years. For me, that's really a testament to your commitment to innovation, to equity, through which we've been able to offer really, I think, a complementary theory of action and enhancements to the district's cell work, culture and climate work, our belonging work, by creating all of these different opportunities that really focus and target our students and our families. We really wanted to rebuild engagement and trust with students and families as we re-entered in-person learning after the pandemic these last 2.5 years. And so with that, we've been really, really proud of the impact of these positions, these roles over the last few years, as we've been able to co-create these student-centric educational experiences that serve the whole child moving into the future. So with this slide, you can see a recap of these 5 roles, actually. So the Village Builder has both an elementary and a middle school allocation. But these 5 roles have been allowed us to be able to serve across elementary, middle, and high school. And with the next slide, with this allocation that you all have invested in, it's really allowed us to focus on aligning the work in this district with the Coalition for Community Schools Transformation Model. So that model, with those 4 pillars you see on the left-hand side of this graphic, is what we have really tried aligning our work in. And I think you heard it from Dr. Gothard earlier, that we believe all of our schools can connect and should be connected to the very communities that they are serving. And these are not just for students with families with students in the schools, but it's really beacons and hubs in our neighborhoods. And so with that, we've been able to highlight the work of these 5 roles, aligning with these 4 pillars throughout the district across all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. The other thing we have done, I think with these roles, you can kind of see the color coding key on the right-hand side. How they've been able to align with this work. Our student engagement specialists, they focus on a caseload of mentorship. They focus on our cell work and a lot of family engagement work you see throughout these. And so we're really proud of all of our school-based teams and the principals who have allowed them to continue this really critical work as we've continued to navigate all of the unique staffing challenges that we have as a district. So we've been really proud of this impact. And with that, you're going to hear tonight from just some impact stories from a couple of our principals. And we wanted to really differentiate between the model and again, all of these roles aligning with the 4 pillars, but we also have the additional investment in the full service community schools, which are those 8 sites that we have historically referred to as community schools. So tonight you're going to hear about some of the work from La Follette High School and our student engagement specialists and Principal Matt Thompson. I'll turn it over to you.
Adam, thank you. Just a sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? Got it. Good evening. Good evening, esteemed board members of Dr. Gothard. I have to say it's truly an honor to be before you this evening. And before I begin, I first want to express my gratitude to this board and to previous boards for your leadership and the difficult decisions that you need to make on a daily basis. But specifically around Referenda Future Ready 2020, I want to personally thank you and say thank you from your La Follette staff because of your bold decision to ask our community to retool our high school facilities. I tell you, we are blessed each and every day to walk into a beautiful new school where your students and staff do feel a renewed sense of purpose and joy. I want to extend an invitation to all of you to come and see your beautiful new school on Madison's Far East Side. Tonight, we've been asked to share experiences regarding the work of our student engagement specialists. And along with that, I want to acknowledge Adam Clausen for his part in developing the role of the student engagement specialists, bringing them into our schools, supporting their transition, and providing a lot of initial training to these employees. So they were not just like dropped on our doorstep, but Adam has been a consistent presence at La Follette, and I thank you for that, Adam. Not to brag, but I do believe that we enjoy 2 of the finest student engagement specialists in MMSD. I'm very fortunate to have Miss Tijuana Wright, and Javante Walters. I will be speaking to the work of Miss Tijuana, known as Miss T, and my esteemed assistant principal, Mr. Jovan Ridicevic, will share his thoughts on the work of Javante. And I'll do a little mix of both as well. I want to say that the role of the student engagement specialist is actually uniquely situated because they have like a solid footing in our school and in the community at the same time. They provide like knowledge and insights because they not only know the students, but they know their families, they know their extended families, and much of the interpersonal dynamics of family members. The engagement specialists, like they know how to move with the student and family and help school staff better understand the barriers and challenges that our most vulnerable students face. Our engagement specialist team partners with our families, and they do an excellent job building a bridge to the school. And they also assist families in understanding the needs of the school and some of the procedures in the school, like some of the technical pieces that are very important. Specifically at La Follette, we've really worked hard to integrate both of them. They are viewed as professionals in the school, professionals that they are. They attend our neighborhood support meetings when their students are being discussed on their caseload. They're consistent members of our attendance team. They're consistent members of our student mental health team. Ms. T joins all daily floor team meetings. She's at our building 4 days a week with our safety and security team and our deans. So we've intentionally worked to try to create a culture of circular accountability where we learn as much from them as they might from us. And when situations arise, when events arise in our school, we seek their opinions on how to respond. Their opinions are sought and valued often, and they're such great assistance with family contact because of their connection to the community. So they're an invaluable resource. I want to share this, that these are brand new positions, and Miss T has just taken this role on and embraced it. She started a drill team. Um, Thanks to Johnny Milton, we have beautiful new uniforms for our drill team. She channels that student energy in a positive manner. We have 20 students on our drill team right now. We perform at our feeder pattern schools, at our games and assemblies. She developed a girls group with 15 girls called Girls Leading Our World. It's a peer mentorship group where upper class students, our 11th and 12th graders, are mentoring our 9th and 10th grader. And they work on self-esteem and self-respect. And they have, she calls it a sisterhood of mutual interdependence and encouragement. She's also developed a group of 6 male and female students called Positive Pathways, which is an anger management and self-respect group. So she does a lot of cells work, which is fantastic. Along with this, she does a lot of push and support in the classroom, doing her best to monitor student work in IC. And Laura Glob and Grady Brown has actually analyzed the year-to-year difference in attendance, and attendance this year on her caseload is up a little over 5%. So I'm excited about the trajectory of her work. So she's a trusted adult. She provides her presence is such incredible affective support. Students gravitate towards her. She's always available in crisis. She's immediate to respond, and she makes students' lives better here. And you know what? She spreads a message of the importance of the importance of academics each and every day. I have several Tijuana-isms, I call them. She tells me this every time I see her. Like I'm never too busy to tell the student I can't see them. I always make time. She's like, I can't wait to get to work. I can't wait to make a difference today. These are my babies. So that is Miss T. That is the work of her lens at La Follette High School. Principal Radicevic.
Yep, and then I am available for a Q&A. I can respond and add to anything Matt has said about Miss T, in addition to the magnificent Mr. Javante Walters.
All right, thanks, La Follette team. We now are going to turn it over to Principal Theo at Gillespie, and she's going to give some highlights on the middle school village builder and what that's look like.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Board of Education, Dr. Gothard. This is our second year with a village builder. Coach Kira, as she is known, Kira Hogan, and I see that she was able to access, so she is also here to answer some questions. But just as Matt said, the way their SES is used at La Follette, similarly, our village builder is really part of the fabric of our school. She attends all of our grade level meetings. She sits on our SSIT. And she's really there with our teachers, with our student support staff to problem solve around students when things come up. She's been integral in rebooting our BSU. As you may know, there was a lot of turnover at Gillespie prior to me getting there 3 years ago. And so a lot of our student leadership had kind of fallen off. She's been integral in getting our BSU back up and running. They plan events and they take a leadership role in our school events. She has a girls group started called the Grizzly Girls. We are now the Gillespie Grizzlies. So the Grizzly Girls are really, they focus in on positive interactions with students. They're working on possibly going over to the elementary schools and welcoming some of our 5th graders in. Our focus with the Grizzly Girls has mostly been with 6th and 7th graders. And so building up their leadership capacity so that when our 5th graders come in next year, they've got a welcoming group of students. She also has a dance group that she's started, and they practice after school and really take on any opportunity to show off their their hard work. This year it was really fun to see them participating during half times of our middle school basketball games during our MSCR. So they presented for parents. They danced in front of our whole student body when we handed out student Black Excellence Awards during Black History Month. And so it's been really great to see these leadership opportunities, especially our girls being involved in some really positive things. Kira is also integral in our home school coordination and family communication. She's always the first to say, oh yeah, I know that mom. I've talked to that mom. Let me call that family. And so when we are discussing students, she's right there and really has increased our positive interactions with our families at Gillespie. This year, she also started what's called a catch-up club. And she's working directly with our teachers, has access to all of their Google Classrooms, and really identifies students that are missing assignments and need to just catch up. So she's got a system set up. Students come in on their scheduled time. And if nothing else, it's a quiet space where they can focus and get a little bit of help if they need. She provides encouragement to them. And I feel like a lot of what she provides to the girls is she helps them to understand that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I have it in me. Yes, if I sit down and complete this assignment, I can be successful in class. She provides study skills and really just helps them to keep track of their own attendance, keep track of their own assignments, so that they're building their self-efficacy so that they can, take ownership of themselves. So she does not play around when they try to use, oh, I got to go see Coach Kira. No. She has a system. She knows, they know that when they're going to come and see her, they have to have a pass. And so she's just been a really outstanding member of our student body. Lastly, she's been working closely with our SSIT to work on our transitions from 5th to 6th. We've identified about 10 students at each of our feeder elementary schools, and she's going over there on a regular basis to get to know them so that when they come in to Gillespie next fall, they'll have a welcoming face and someone that they already know. That's that. Did you want me to say anything about we also have an SES who kind of works on the other end of things, helping to transition our 8th graders into the high school. We share her with Memorial, so it's a natural transition for her to have a group of students at Gillespie that she is mentoring and working with as they move over to Memorial next year, giving them a little head start.
Thank you, Principal Field. Again, appreciate each of our team's work at the secondary level. And as you can see, we've been able to really align a lot of this, especially when we're focusing on student engagement and family engagement. It made sense for us to really focus on aligning them across the attendance area and then aligning staff with one another, so there can be those coordinated supports for transitions. So great work, team. Now I will turn it over to Sarita Foster, who will be highlighting the work of our full service community schools and with one of our impact stories tonight from Hawthorne. Go ahead, Sarita.
Hello, everyone. Of course, my computer signed me out of my talking points right as I'm about to go. So give me just a moment, please. I'm sorry. Bear with me at this technology. Okay. Well, I will tell you what I was going to say after. I might as well just pass it off to Lucy right away. And I will go back to my talking points once I can find them again. So go ahead, Lucy.
I'm happy to jump in. Totally understand the frustration with the tech issues we've been dealing with today. So Sarita, thank you for the introduction, and Adam, thank you for
the invite. Thank you, board members and Dr. Gothard for having me this evening. I'm really just thrilled to be sharing more about Hawthorne's Community Schools program. It's something that makes our school very special. So at Hawthorne, we're fortunate to have a community school resource coordinator. We have 2 folks who split a full-time family liaison role, and then we have 4 part-time village builders. Our village builders, Tiffany, Edith, Luz, and Brian, are actively working with students all day, every day to provide additional support to students who need it most. And I cannot think of a more explicit manifestation of our strategic framework goal number 2, that the district and every school in it is a place where children, staff, and families thrive, than the work I see our village builders engaging in and engaging our students in every single day. They are with students actively supporting, whether that is social emotional learning goals with a student, whether that's helping a new student build community, or whether that's working towards early literacy goals for students. They are active parts of their teams, and they are beloved members of their classrooms. Our community school resource coordinator, Mr. Antonio, is part of our school's core leadership team. So going beyond SBLT, which he's also part of, he is part of the core team that I meet with weekly. And our family liaisons support our attendance team and our MTSS systems as examples for how those positions also are collaborating with our teams and supporting our school. To take you through some of the other work that our community school resource coordinator and family liaisons have led this year, and it's quite a list, so I'm going to go quickly through, but I'm happy to answer any questions. We've developed an annual resource fair. We have over 15 community resources in our building for an evening, whether this is MGE and it's helping families get connected with MGE for payment assistance, whether it's Access Clinic or any of the other medical resources in our community, so that families have one place that they can go, a kind of one-stop shop for any needs that they may have. And they have school staff, such as our community school resource coordinator and family liaisons, at that event with them to help them navigate those systems. Our community team is also responsible for all of our evening family events, which this year has included a literacy night and a science night. Our literacy night is really in support of our early literacy goals, and this year the Mad for Reading initiative. And the focus was on helping families understand, what is a microphase? What is this Ames Web score that I'm receiving? Why am I getting this personalized reading plan? What does that mean for my student? So that they feel more confident in navigating our systems and understanding the lingo that feels so natural to us that we use every single day. Our science night was a little bit, it was a great opportunity for different community resources to come in. We had a student group from East, we had folks from UW-Madison, and we even had folks out in the community, folks that work at Epic, coming in and just sharing their expertise with students, sharing fun science-based activities. My personal standout favorite was a team from Epic came in and just talked about the structure of DNA, a double helix DNA, and students built themselves a double helix out of Twizzlers and dots. So they got to learn a little bit about how DNA is structured and got to build that. As well as our family events, we run a full service food pantry. It's available anytime the building is open. Families can come and take as much as they would like, and that's in partnership with Second Harvest. Our community school resource coordinator and family liaisons work really hard in ensuring that that is stocked with whatever families need, whatever they're saying is a need at the moment, and that we are communicating regularly with families about that being a resource for them. Additionally, we have our community room. We have laundry that families can utilize. They can utilize a couple of desktop computers, a printer. Or they can just have the community room as a space where they're able to have some internet, there's some games, if they have young children they want to bring with them, and just be in a third space other than work or home, to provide community. We do a lot with winter clothing with the little ones, lots of little fingers needing protection from the cold. So we do a lot of work around getting donations of winter clothing and making sure that that's passed out to students who need it most. Most recently, our community team has been really focused on summer school enrollment outreach and providing additional summer programming information for those families who aren't invited to Madison MMSD summer school, but who are looking for other resources, helping them get connected with those resources. As Dr. Gothard is well aware, Hawthorne is very close in partnership with East Madison Community Center, and our community school resource coordinator is part of their board and regularly attends meetings with them. They also have led family groups this year, our family liaisons, including arranging presenters from community resources such as Centro Hispano. And then they're providing direct support to families as well, particularly those who are new to the United States or new to Wisconsin or Madison, helping find rental assistance, helping with utility assistance, and everything up to figuring out how to get furniture, pots, pans, linens for the families. So that's all that they're doing outside of school. But then during the school day, they are Mr. Antonio, Miss Rosie, Miss Rosario. They're in our lunchroom, they're at arrival and dismissal, and they're known to families. So students know Mr. Antonio was out at EMCC last night, saw my mom, saw my dad, saw my grandma. They liaise with our cornerstone partners, Demco and First United Methodist Church here in Madison. And I could continue to go on and on and on about the great work that they do, but something that I wanted to end with, something that really resonates with me every time we have an evening event. We use our additional funding in so many different ways, our additional community schools funding in so many ways, but one special way is that at our evening events, we provide a community dinner. And it's one of my favorite times is getting to serve that community dinner alongside the community schools team, and then sit down around a table with our families and be together in community. So really appreciate you having the time tonight, and if you have any questions.
All right, I'm back. My internet at home is unstable, so I'm on my phone. So if somebody could shout out if you can hear me, that'd be great.
Can hear ya.
Loud and clear, Sarita.
I have a little Zoom screen in my talking notes. So good evening, members of the board. Again, my name is Sarita Foster, and I'm the community schools manager. I'll be introducing one more of our full service community schools to speak on behalf of the community schools team. The 8 full service community schools in our district are defined as a public school that focuses not only on the academic needs of students, but also on providing a wide range of community services. These services support students' physical, emotional, and social well-being. Some of the services may include healthcare, mental health counseling, after-school programs, and family engagement activities. The goal of a full-service community school is to ensure that students' needs are met holistically, allowing them to succeed academically while also receiving support in other important areas of their lives. Full-service community schools are designed to be a hub for the community, bringing resources and services directly to students and their families. That was my intro to Lucy, which she eloquently touched on all of those things. So thank you, Lucy, for presenting on behalf of Hawthorne. And then I am going to be giving an update tonight on Kennedy and the impact Kennedy's made on students and families has been truly inspiring to watch. And as we look ahead, I'm excited to share that Kennedy Elementary School will be finishing their first year as a full-service community school. They've made great strides in building strong partnerships with families in the community, and I look forward to presenting about their experiences and the positive changes they're already seeing. As Kennedy Community School wraps up its first year of programming, they are reflecting on the significant strides made in establishing a strong foundation for its mission of fostering holistic student growth. This year, the school has fully embraced the 6 pillars of community schools, a framework that emphasizes academics, health and wellness, family engagement, youth development, community partnerships, and social emotional learning. A key achievement has been the creation of a dedicated community schools team, tasked with assessing the needs and assets of both students and the broader school community. Through a comprehensive needs and assets assessment, this team has gathered invaluable insights, allowing the school to tailor its approach to ensure that every student's educational journey is supported, both academically and personally. Additionally, the school has successfully integrated 2 new community school staff members into the community. These staff members have become essential pillars of the team, working alongside educators, counselors, and community partners to foster a more inclusive and responsive environment. By collaborating with local organizations, supporting basic needs initiatives, and ensuring that families are well connected to resources, the new staff members have enriched the school's commitment to addressing the diverse needs of the entire community. With a solid first year behind them, Kennedy is poised to continue building on its success, creating a school environment where every student can thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. The future looks bright as the school deepens its connections to families and the surrounding community, ensuring that the values of community schools continue to guide its mission for years to come. On the next slide, I wanted to give you some highlights from the full service community schools and what we've been able to accomplish this year. So this year, after school programs have seen a significant increase in student participation, offering a combination of academic support and social emotional learning opportunities. These programs are designed to help students with homework, tutoring, and skill development, while also providing critical SEL tools such as emotional regulation, conflict resolution, and building resilience. I am so excited to be launching Freedom Schools with Sonia Spencer. Sonia is serving as the executive director, and I am the project manager for Freedom Schools. And we are launching Freedom Schools for our community schools this summer at Mendota's summer school site. So it's an initiative aimed at providing an enriching, culturally responsive learning experience for students. This program will focus on literacy, critical thinking, and social justice topics, encouraging students to develop a love for reading while also exploring important community issues. By providing a safe space for Lakeview and Mendota students to explore their identities, the program is helping them become active, informed citizens. I'm also very excited that the Grow Your Own initiative, which has been a cornerstone of our district's commitment to supporting staff from an associate's to bachelor's degree. This year, we have had 5 either village builders or family liaisons enroll in this program and have been successfully completing courses while also working part-time. So we are very excited across that community schools model that some of our very own staff that we're investing in the workplace are also taking advantage of our Grow Your Own to Associate's degree program. And then Adam touched on this a little bit earlier, but we relaunched our Community Schools District Steering Committee, marking a key milestone in our commitment to collaborative leadership. This committee brings together school leaders, educators, families, and community partners to guide the ongoing development of community school initiatives. And last but not least, our village builders have been supporting over 130 classrooms this year, totaling over 1,500 students. Their efforts have focused on providing targeted support and social emotional learning, literacy and math, ensuring that students receive the personalized help they need to succeed. By working closely with teachers and students, Village Builders have created a nurturing environment that fosters academic growth and emotional well-being for all students. I am going to pass it back to Adam to continue on with our community school highlights.
Thanks, Sarita, and thanks, Lucy, for sharing. Again, just continue with a wrap up of some of the highlights of each of these roles and the impact that they've been having. This year is the first year of a brand new partnership. Is really about 9 months or so in the making. We have launched this fall a new partnership in our 8 community schools with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Athletics. And that has had a focus on literacy. Their goals and our goals were really focusing on early literacy, and so we're excited to launch that this year. It's been overwhelmingly well received and impactful. We have over 90 UW student athletes who have participated in this role model reading program. You can see over nearly 700 minutes spent with second graders. Again, a number of different student athletes coming in to read. And these books are donated from the University of Wisconsin. We have, again, approaching 500 books that have been donated that students get to keep, that they read with the student athlete and answer some questions on just dreams and goals and things like that. And then right before winter break, it was the last day before winter break, we had the inaugural Education Day, where we and a number of other area districts were invited to a women's basketball game. You can see we had a really overwhelming response. And I think one of the unique things that stuck out to me about this event is not just the number of students and staff who participated, but we had over 232 caregivers come and join our schools at this event. And so to see so many different family members joining their kids and being one whole school community was really a great experience for them at the Cole Center. In addition, you can see the family liaisons. Each of the sites that has a family liaison FTE, they have started or continued and enhanced a formal parent engagement group. That has led to over 30 family events with a reach of over 1,500 family members who have participated in those different family events just this year. So kudos to all of our family liaisons and their work with their school-based teams. Student engagement specialists, again, with their targeted work, caseload work and groups, you can see they have supported over 500 secondary students, middle school and high school students with their targeted support. Out of those, 210 have participated in co-curriculars, many of whom was for the first time. Again, you heard from our principals, there is a very intentional focus on family engagement. And so there have been over 130 weekly to bi-weekly parent contacts. And these are regular ongoing contacts to rebuild partnership, help families understand how to navigate our system and liaison to all of the other school-based leaders. And then also to be able to just partner on what's going on with each student, so we as a school system can be responsive in our supports of them. 480 students have participated so far this year in culturally relevant regional conferences, and this has been fun to informally partner with many local leaders and the unique conferences that they are offering throughout the community. So it's a great chance for our students to be exposed to Black excellence in our community and to receive different types of learning experiences from these spaces. One of the kind of longitudinal things that we've been able to start tracking with our research team from year 1 to year 2 alone, so that's not including this year's data, of course, we were able to see an 81% of the students on the caseloads with our student engagement specialists improve their attendance. And so really, really proud again of our 9 student engagement specialists work. Again, just to recap, our each of these roles and the work streams, we have sought to align with this national evidence-based model, bipartisan supported model of community schools. And that's those pillars that you've seen in the previous slides and in previous years. With that model, we've been able to have some really, really impactful work. We've also been able to focus our engagement efforts with our full service community schools with additional resources that serve the whole child. With all of these roles, our focus at this whole time has been serving the whole child and serving the whole family, knowing that it really does take the whole village to raise the child. And so we want to thank and appreciate all of our partners, all of the families who have let us in and help us learn how to serve and support their children as best as possible. And you can see that these roles have allowed us again to marry strategy and this kind of grassroots organic relationships and feedback loops. So we all continue to rise and get better to serve again the whole child. So thank you, Board of Education, for your just continued commitments to and value for the holistic supports and services that this district offers. You believe in serving the whole child, and you believe in connecting and partnering with our community. And so your investment has allowed us to do that. So with that, I will turn it back to Cindy Green.
Thank you so much, Adam. And thank you to all of our staff that are here with us, but also that presented. So before I turn it back over to Board Chair Muldrow, Jessica, could you take us off of screen share? Just a quick wrap up that the team was able to give an update on the investments around our kind of system-wide community school approach, as Dr. Gothard had kind of mentioned in the beginning, and then a spotlight into our full service community schools that sit at the elementary level. Board Chair Muldrow, we have our team available for questions or anything else that the board is interested in, so I will turn it back to you at this time.
Thank you so much, Cindy Green. I greatly appreciated the presentation we got. We're about 50 minutes into this meeting of the Board of Education, and we got a really thorough presentation that I'm sure folks have a lot of questions about. I think going back to Dr. Gothard's remarks early on, all 52 schools and sites are in their own ways deeply connected to our communities. And yet we really have the opportunity tonight to hone in on the schools that are here with us and on this particular model, right? Because it does mean something different to be a community school at one site versus another site. And it also means something very different to be a community school or extend yourself to the community if the educational site in which you're serving young people is the Children's Hospital. And so when we say 52 schools and sites, we're including the Children's Hospital, we're including the Juvenile Detention Center. We're having a really expansive conversation about the work we do as a district. My fellow board members, I'd love to hear from you. I'm hoping you can direct your at least initial questions at the educators who are adding a little extra time to their evening tonight to talk to us about the work they're doing. So I really appreciate that we got to hear from our high school partners and our middle school partners and our elementary school partners. Board President Nichelle Nichols.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the update. Really good to hear how things have been progressing with community schools. I do have some questions that are at the school level. So I'll start with those, and then I do have a couple about just kind of district-wide. The first question I have is for La Follette, which is thank you so much for showcasing your amazing student engagement specialist. I am curious, how as a school are you leveraging your student engagement specialist, your multicultural services coordinator or MSC, and then your restorative justice coordinator? So when you're thinking about all the people all the kind of trusted adults in the building who are engaging with students deeply, trying to make those bridges between family, community, and the school. How have you, and I'm not looking for like a super like everything's magical. I'm curious in hearing challenges with having all of the roles, as well as what you have done to like better coordinate and really leverage and maximize the multiple roles in the building.
Principal Thompson, I see you're unmuted. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it, Yovi Dovi, and then you jump in. So Nichelle, it's a very meaty question, and I think about this. I will say that as soon as you said that, what I've been thinking about as I move into summer is like the tighter through line between all three roles and what I want to develop. Because like with both Tijuana and my RJ coordinator, Torn Young, they've now had a couple years in the position, right? They're seeing a lot, they're seasoned, and they're incredible assets to the school. So I want to say slightly that I think we can do a tighter job of coordinating their work and focusing their work. I don't want to say the work is exactly in silos, but it sort of is, right? I've got my MSC who's really focused on BSU and parent outreach. I got Tijuana, who is initially focused on developing relationships with students on her caseload and doing a lot of that sales work I discussed earlier. And then Torrin has been just utterly brilliant in terms of like having the pulse on the building, being a full, like almost member of the floor team, and heading off issues, problems and concerns between students immediately, pulling them into that beautiful RJ space that we possess, and diffusing situations. What I'd like to see is how they're more moving sort of more in concert together and coordinating a lot more, and maybe doing a little bit more cross-pollinating. Like where Tijuana's at right now, Michelle, I see my next steps with her would be to really focus more on the development of academic identity for these students, and more push in support to the classroom. The other piece along with that was Torrin's vision for his RJ work is exactly that. So we've established the systems and structures around our RJ practices, but getting that into classrooms and supporting teachers more with the daily management of their class through an RJ lens. So those are two big pieces that we want to work on for next year. And then we have limited parental engagement at La Follette High School. So the three legs around school improvement, right? We've got a committed staff. We need an engaged student body and parents that assist in taking ownership of the school. And that's really a next step for me with Johnny, is to really, I need more parents at the school. So I have to say our work is kind of siloed and slightly disjointed now, but I see potential between all those three roles and how we want to integrate them. Yovan, did you want to you add anything?
You've nailed that. I can speak to that limited parental engagement piece. I'm just going to share one story about Javante Walters. I was unable to reach a guardian. I was the student's dean of students. No one was able to reach out to them. Javante booked an appointment with this individual, got his hair done, and said, now we will talk. And we were able to find answers. When we talk about cultural competence, when we talk about ways of being that I, as a principal and dean of students, did not possess, he does, they do. And I'm just going to say he's him. And I want to end it with that because there are stories each and every single day that I can provide you with. And I want to harken back to Matt's call. Come visit us, see the work that we're doing, and see what this team is capable of and how they uplift our work. As much as they are here for the students, they are here for the staff, they are here for admin too. So I'm being selfish in my advocacy here because it's greater than all of us. We are 52, 53 schools, but we are one community. And these are the individuals that span the entirety of the community that we are so lucky and privileged to serve.
And Sheldon, to answer your question, like,
Yeah, that was
you're
great.
getting at, I
Thank
think it's a work in progress. I got to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Yep.
Okay, my next question is for Gillespie. Thank you so much for also highlighting what your village builder has been able to do and how much they're a part of the fabric of the school. My wondering about the middle school village builder, I got a really good picture of what they're doing. What would you say is the percent of time that your village builder is spending on behavior support, their caseload support, and then all the other cool student engagement, family engagement kind of activities?
Kira's on. I'm gonna let her chime in as well, but
Okay.
she is not behavior support.
Okay.
I mean, she's not on the radio. We call on her really if there's a student who we're having trouble with that is on her caseload, then she'll step in, but
Okay.
as a rule, she is not behavior support.
Okay. Good. How many students seems like a reasonable caseload to have? What are you learning about that?
Kira, do you want to talk? I'm guessing she's got about 30-ish,
Yeah,
but go ahead, Kira.
sorry, Melanie. Yeah, so my caseload last year, my caseload was about 20 students. This
Okay.
year, that was my first year, and I was only there for the second semester majority of the time. But this year, my caseload is 30 students, and it changes. I probably wouldn't go above 30 as I'm only one person, but
Okay.
I do try to leave spaces open for each grade level because there are students who just kind of roll over from year to year. But at the
Okay.
same time, there are always, again, with the sixth graders coming in and then new students who may not have connected with me last year that, this coming year, they want to be more involved or want me as a support. So I do leave a few extra spots open for just the natural connections that happen that you can't control. But I think 30 would be a reasonable number.
Great. And can you describe just a little bit about how do you get a caseload? Is it student initiated, family initiated, staff initiated? How do you get a caseload?
So I would say across the board, it's a combination of all those things.
Okay.
I do know that some village builders go into their schools and they have a list of students that they would like them to connect with. I believe that I was fortunate in the school that I am at right now because Melanie was very open and letting me kind of just build relationships and, introduce myself to families. And from there, it was the family or myself or the student who was asking, or the student not so much, but with their behaviors asking and how they would come around so often. So it was a combination of just me allowing it to naturally fall, but then also me looking at certain students and saying, I need to check in with them a little bit more. No one's connecting with them as well. Let me take that on.
Got it. Thank you so much, Kira. Thank you for that, Gillespie. I really enjoyed hearing how how Kira as a village builder has been working at the middle school and also hearing about the transition. So thank you for that. I do have a question. I have some questions for Hawthorne. Is it okay to call you Lucy or should I call you Principal Sieber?
Oh, Lucy's totally fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. You said that you had one community school resource coordinator, two
Yes.
people who are splitting a 1.0 FTE parent liaison.
Yeah,
And
our family
4,
liaison. Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
well, and 4 village builders.
That's correct. Our family liaison is not quite a 1.0. If I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly, it's like a 0.9680.
Okay, okay.
And then our village builders, there are 4 of them. All of our village builder allocation is 0.5s. Some of our village builders also hold some SEA allocation in order to make them full-time.
Okay. So I don't know if you're the best person to answer this or not, but I'm curious about that allocation, not the way it's split up, but just you talk about how having a resource coordinator, the family liaison, and then that number of village builders, why Hawthorne was selected to have like that amount of allocation.
Yeah. To be totally transparent, I'm not positive why Hawthorne was selected for that amount of allocation. I can
Okay.
speak to how grateful I am that we do have it.
Yes. Yeah.
Particularly knowing that our student population is set to grow quite a bit here in the coming years, with 2 brand new apartment complexes opening up for a total of something in the neighborhood of 430 new apartment units. Homes. So the community building and student support that our village builders provide is going to be more invaluable than ever in the coming years.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I used to be in the district when we first started community school. So this question, if this doesn't feel like you can answer it, it's okay. But I'm gonna just ask a couple of questions. So when Hawthorne became a community school some years ago, and got its first community schools resource coordinator and a family liaison. This was before village builders existed. There was a pretty intentional collaborative leadership structure where, you know, the resource coordinator was really working hard to bring family members in, community partners in, having kind of like a school-wide committee that was different than the SBLT. But I remember it was kind of like whatever the school improvement goals were introduced to that committee, but the committee really did talk about the needs, the unmet needs that they knew in the school and the surrounding community, and also the assets. And oddly, one of the things that I remember about Hawthorne was there was like a lot of parent and student concern about crossing the street to the school and going the underground tunnel and wanting to think about like how they could increase student safety, like getting to school. Now, that's a very specific example, but I bring that up only to ask, how are you all currently assessing those unmet needs that are important to students and families? And do you all have like a collaborative committee or some kind of a way to do that engagement around real school issues for school improvement and school safety and all of that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I'm gonna try my darndest to stay on track here, but I could talk your ear off about our walk to school and wanting to make that more safe for students and families. As far as your specific question, we did perform, similar to Kennedy, a community needs assessment, strengths and needs assessment last spring, and kind of continued that. We're a summer school site and have been for many years. So we were able to continue talking to families throughout the summer and then this fall. That allowed us to collect some data, in particular, that informed our now 3-year SIP that we'll be engaging in as a school this year, next year, the year after. Along with that, we do use our climate survey data. And then actually in response to a low participation rate in the initial round of community needs assessment surveying of families last spring, we did some really intentional outreach this fall, trying to get more responses. And actually your example was perfect, because what we're seeing from families, the number one most sought after need is a safer route to school for our students who are across East Wash from us.
Yeah.
So those are some of the ways that we're collecting data. The way that we're implementing that, we would love to get, I think it's a big goal of our community school resource coordinator, Antonio's, to reestablish a community schools committee that families, teachers, and his team are involved in regularly. I think right now it's beyond SBLT, it's really difficult to ask teachers for more of their time. And that's been a barrier that he's been running into. Similarly with families, it's difficult to find families who are representative of our community, who are able to regularly be up at this school, and who are representative of our community. But I think that is a big goal of his. I've heard him talk about it quite a bit, wanting to reestablish that committee. One way that they are trying to make some inroads this year is the establishment of a couple different parent groups.
Okay.
Our parent group, specifically targeted at families who identify as Latinx, has been really, really successful this year. It's regularly attended by about 30 families. And they've brought in, like I said, they've brought in Centro Hispano. I went and spoke at one about bullying and our bullying kind of reporting process here at Madison. They've had our social worker out at a meeting. So that's found a lot of great traction and success. We're really excited about that as a way to potentially be creating some of these inroads. We certainly also are continuing to partner with East Madison Community Center to try to continue to establish community relationships and relationships with families who maybe there's a lack of institutional trust with the education system, or Hawthorne specifically, but they have a great relationship with EMCC. So that's another way that we're trying to approach building ties with our community.
Great. I'm going to ask you
Member
a
Nichols.
similar. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just jump in really quick just to let you know, like just overall for all of the 8 full service community schools, that they all did complete the needs assessments, the needs and assets assessments. So that's been done for all of the schools. And then as well, part of their goal for the year has been to reestablish the building-based community schools steering committees. And so that's across the system. So just so we know that we've been really working on alignment with all of the 8 community schools. And so that is part of their goal for the year.
Yeah, and I asked that question without, I mean, I know how, I just remember when I was in the district, Lucy, that it's a lot of work to build that space and to get people to show up and to want the very parents and caregivers who, you know, might not typically have a voice to be at the table. So I know that can be a lot of work. And yeah, I was just curious about that. I am wondering a similar question that I asked La Follette, which is, you have all of these roles, and I am curious what you have been learning about coordinating all of the efforts between your resource coordinator, your family liaisons, your village builders, and yeah, just what you're noticing about that. I will just say this, Lucy, that when I was in the district, one of the things that we had started to learn was that when you had a full-time resource coordinator, and even when you had a family liaison, because the family liaisons don't technically report to the resource coordinator, but their work is very interdependent, sometimes it was hard to get everybody on the same page. And so that might not be your experience, but I am curious about what you're learning about trying to leverage and strengthen all of the roles all in your school. And yeah, anything you can add about that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, we're in a unique position. We're the only full service community school, Sarita, correct me if I'm wrong, that has our family liaison allocation split in the way that we do. Yeah. And that has greatly contributed to what you're talking about with it being difficult to get everyone on the same page. We are moving away from that model next year. We'll have one full-time family liaison. And Sarita and I and our community school resource coordinator are all very excited to have that position be more streamlined for exactly the type of opportunity that you're talking about. It's going to be a lot easier to meet with them have really clear roles and responsibilities and be a more cohesive part of our team. Particularly given right now our two family liaisons, one works in the mornings and one in the afternoon. So it is each other as a team. That said, our community school resource coordinator, he is absolutely fantastic. He is out there as an advocate in our community. He is advocating for Hawthorne's needs and presenting. He's a great ambassador for not just Hawthorne, but for MMSD as an alum himself. So his real strength is in those community partnerships, and we are so lucky to have fantastic cornerstone partnerships with Demco and with First United Methodist Church. In fact, I was, before all the technical issues, working on the media kit that principals were asked to develop, and I'm noticing so far the only school that has a full fleshed out branding kit, because Demco has provided that for us with our new mascot, the Huskies that our students voted on. They've built out a logo for us, branding colors, all sorts of swag. And that's all down to Antonio and the work that he has put in to develop that relationship and maintain that relationship. So that's a real strength of his and something that I really lean on him for. And they support our school in so many other ways as well, volunteering and providing. This week, First United Methodist Church is providing staff dinner during our conference evening, and so many other wonderful things. For our family liaisons, something that we have really pushed on this year, and I am excited to really continue strengthening next year with that being a single person, is having them be a really intentional part of our attendance team and MTSS structure around students who are chronically absent. We often know that at the elementary level, it's typically not up to the student whether they're coming to school. Particularly at Hawthorne, our attendance data shows that our youngest students have the worst attendance rates. And these are students who if a student is living in the Truax neighborhood, it's about a mile walk to school. We're talking about 5 and 6 year olds who are then having to walk themselves on at least a 20-25 minute walk. It does include that crossing at East Wash and Fair Oaks Wright Street, for which there's a tunnel, but our students and families report the tunnel feeling unsafe. So we know that that is a big barrier. We know that other issues, transportation issues, housing insecurity, sleep issues, food insecurity even, are the root causes of our students not coming to school. So having our family liaisons be a really intentional part of that structure for the outreach we do when we're noticing a student is chronically absent has been a huge shift for us this year, and a really positive one for our community.
Nice. Thank you so much. Chair Muldrow, if you don't mind, I have just 2 final questions that are more for Sarita. Is that okay? Okay, sorry. I have my Zoom screen minimized. Okay. So Sarita, thank you so much for and Adam for giving us a kind of a overview and a high level overview of everything that's been going on with the community schools. Um, and I really appreciated hearing, you know, some of the newer partnerships and the focus on literacy, academics, and of course, family engagement and student engagement. I am wondering, at one point early on in community schools, which kind of preceded both of you, there was some thinking that one way to measure the success of community schools might be to look at the number of volunteers that were lending their time and energy at a school level, or the number of partnerships that had been initiated at a particular community school, maybe thinking about family engagement. I'm curious if you all have been thinking about um, additional ways to talk about the community school, kind of the full community school model as a way of indicating that school is a hub. Yeah, just curious if anything has been coming up recently, and if not, that's okay.
I would say yes, I'm always thinking about how we measure success for something like community schools, because it's not as easy as measuring attendance rates and test
Right.
scores, but we're still connected to the school. So how are we showing our impact? The team recently did put something together with volunteer hours, in-kind donations, number of families they've reached through the needs and asset process. I would like to take all of that information with this relaunch steering committee to see what is most impactful for us to measure. Because right now it's just our best thinking based on what we've always been doing. But if we need to be doing something differently or measuring something differently, I would like that direction to come from the steering committee and not just from me. Like,
Mhm.
I'm just a one of one, right? So I've been leading this team for 2 years now, and we have NEA and MTI and Coalition for Community Schools, but nobody's really setting like a national standard. Like, this is what you should be doing to be considered a successful community school. So I would like us as a district to name that ourselves,
Yeah.
with the help of the steering committee.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I appreciate that deeply. And I think my last question is, right now, when you all think about what makes a full service community school, I appreciate that we're talking about the staffing, but the staffing in itself doesn't make a school a full service community school. So what I'm wondering is like, are you all providing guidance to the full service community schools around, here are some of the minimum things you must do as a full service community school, and then ideally if you could also embed or incorporate some of these other functions, here's a roadmap for what that might look like. Are you all, I guess I'm curious about the relationship and the guidance that you all, you meaning like the district office, is providing to the full service community schools.
I'll try my best to answer this question, and anybody on the team can jump in if I miss something. So I'm working directly, obviously, with each one of the schools on what the principal's role is, what the coordinator's role, what the family liaison's role is within each one of those community schools. They do have they have guidance on what they should be doing. So they should be having a steering committee. They should be having family groups. They do have I don't want to say a checklist, but a checklist of things that they should be doing on a monthly or quarterly basis. We know that needs an asset comes every 3 years, and you should be implementing it into your SIP and those things. What I'm focusing on more when I'm at schools every day is how do you do those things? Because community schools isn't something you go to school for. So somebody is always having to tell you, like, you should be doing this, and then this is the next step. So I'm trying, no, I'm not trying, I am becoming like the subject matter expert in those things so that I can take it back to the schools. We have PLCs with the coordinators once a month, and that's where I'm really doing the teaching and training, but also one-on-one when I go to their schools as well. As far as what they should be doing, I would like the steering committee to have oversight of that as well. So it's not just my best thinking and what I'm learning through NEA and bringing back to the group. I would like each one to be doing something that's kind of guidance, and then they have training associated with that guidance.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarita. Can I
Thank
ask
you.
my last question is, it might be a better question for Carletra, but at one point some years ago, Carletra, there was some intentionality with thinking about every full service community school would also have behavioral health in schools to try to bring in some of that mental health support. Was that ever able to be aligned, or is that still something that, is like a work in progress?
That is something that is still a work in progress. The majority of the schools do have behavior health in schools, but not all of them at this point.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks you all. Appreciate the update. Thank you, Chair Muldrow.
Board member, further questions? Questions from any other board members before we move on to the next subject? I'm not seeing anybody's hands. I want to thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We are now going to hear from our folks who are going to talk to us a little bit about our partnerships. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, y'all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
for the opportunity.
Jesse, could you, while everyone is shifting, could you please pull up the slides? I am gonna I am going to introduce and turn it over to Sonia Spencer, who is our Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships, and she's going to give us an update on strategic partnerships and what she's learned. Sonia, you on?
I am here. Good evening. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Good evening, Dr. Gothard. Thank you so much for having me in this space and to just highlight a little bit of partnerships as a whole with the district, and of course to kind of give you a quick snippet of what this year has felt and looked like for partnerships. I would like to share with you that the work around strategic partnerships for me personally, it is very intentional. And again, it is very personal. So I am honored and very proud to be a part of this work. So I just kind of wanted to start off a little bit by talking about the purpose of strategic partnerships, right? I think that, for all of us that are in the district, we all have our own sense of what strategic partnerships mean. These three purposes came directly from the job description that when I was thinking about applying for the job, I took a look at. And thinking about how we were going to align strategic partnerships, these three key steps really came into mind. As you can see, one of the roles was to align community resources and partnerships with the district goals and priorities, making sure that we are enhancing priorities for all of our scholars, families, and staff and through collaborative partnerships. And then, of course, fostering relationships and making sure that we are advancing equity, access, and also excellence across the district. Now, I wanted to just also highlight that the work of strategic partnerships cannot be done alone. It is a community effort. So when taking a look at these, at the purposes, all of that really just connected. Thank you. Next slide. So I really thought deep about where we were in regards to strategic partnerships. And one of the things that still resonates with me, Dr. Gothard actually shared this a couple of weeks ago during the board meeting. He mentioned that it's important for us to honor the work that's been done in the past and also acknowledging our work that is grounded by our district policy. Where we were was some great work that was elevated from previous staff of MMSD. They have conducted district-wide scan of existing partnerships, created initial database to make sure that we're tracking partnerships by schools and also by district departments. They have engaged in community organizations. We have been building on our effort to make sure that we are strengthening relationships. And then, of course, partnerships have been established with an opportunity to continue enhancing the tracking, making sure that we are focusing on the evaluation of it, and making sure that we are aligning with the district-wide needs. Next slide, please. So coming from the purposes of strategic partnerships and then looking at where we were, thinking about what is it that is going to guide us this year, especially the year that I have been a part of strategic partnerships. So with that came these three key areas also. So again, we want to make sure that strategic partnerships is strengthening systems, structures, and communication channels. We want to make sure that we are aligning partnerships with our superintendent's entry framework of people, purpose, pride. I like to say that that's become the way that I'm navigating this role and how I approach the work. And then also making sure that we are supporting schools and leveraging partnerships. Now, year one has been really about understanding the layout and concepts of partnerships with conversations from district staff and school staff and also community partners. I do want to emphasize that partnerships within the district, we also have district staff that we call partnership owners and partnership managers. So within this year, I've had the opportunity of meeting with a lot of them and making sure that these key priority areas or these areas for year one have been part of our focus. Next slide, please. And it really gets to where we are now, right? Continuous work, absolutely, every day, all day. Again, going back to where we were and making sure that we're continuing to honor the work that was previously done, but also putting a little stamp of something different in what the possibilities are. So where we are now, again, the continuation of the work and making sure that we are expanding efforts and access to documents, district-wide partnerships, refining our data, making sure that we are improving our tracking system for partnerships. We have established regular review process to ensure that alignment with district-wide departments such as curriculum and instruction, student support services, secondary, safety and security. Having those regular meetings, like as I said before, is really, really crucial to understand where partnerships live and how they are performing in our sites. And then also making sure that we have a focus on alignment of what we call our high intensity partnerships that support our goals and funding streams to maximize impact. Now, our high intensity partnerships are really crucial to our district, and I'll offer some more details about that later. But really wanted to make sure that where we are now is a strong focus into that. And as you can see there, bullet 3, again, where we are now is the collaboration with community partners on events such as a Juneteenth celebration, our Mad for Reading campaign, our continuous partnership with United Way, but this year really focusing on that giving campaign and just being able to be present and offer that opportunity to support our partners when they are ready to provide those tangible resources to our schools. We having events with My Arts where our students, our youth are engaged in beautiful artwork that we've been able to be a part of. And then, of course, partnering with other organizations such as Black Girl Magic, who offer an opportunity for all of our Black and Brown girls to be a part of a conference every year. Now, I do also want to say that we have built upon our initial work by refining how we track partnerships across our district, right? But it's also really important to know that strategic partnerships is really a goal-driven collaboration. And moving forward, we feel that, well, I do feel that it deepens engagement and community partners by collaborating on impactful opportunities with our district. Next slide, please. So I also wanted to just give you a little bit of opportunity to just kind of see just a data snapshot of what partnerships look like, partnerships by number. Now, please note, this is just a snapshot. So we have been working really, really hard to track all of our partners across the district. That means district-wide, all the partnerships within our district staff, and then also our school-wide partnerships. So again, just a snippet shot. So you've got, right now, we have approximately about 59 active district-wide partnerships. 29 of them are considered low intensity, 21 medium, and then of course, high intensity. 52 schools are engaged in strategic partnerships. So this means at any level. We have schools that have partnerships that are on a larger scale, and we have schools that have partnerships that are on a smaller scale. And even volunteering is considered a partnership because you have individuals that intentionally focus on coming into our buildings and supporting scholars in any capacity, whether that is through mentorship, tutoring, or just being present and helping out during lunch, recess, in whatever capacity. So to have 50 schools engaged is actually a wonderful, wonderful turnout. Now, again, we just wanted to also kind of give you a quick data snapshot of what the top areas are for our partnerships. Literacy, of course, is at the top of the leaderboard. Tutoring, of course, especially now with how we're going moving forward with our Math for Reading campaign. We've had so many opportunities where community partners are reaching out to us to extend their hand and say, you know, how can we help when it comes to literacy and tutoring, and of course, mental health, which has always been one of the highest areas of our strategic partnerships within our district. It's still one of our top priorities. And then, of course, our pre-college programs, which offer the opportunity for a lot of our scholars, especially those marginalized ones, to have the opportunity to participate in pre-college programs from UW-Madison, Madison College, and hoping to get more colleges on the board for that. I also wanted to just give you guys a little bit of information in regards to the snapshot that this year alone in this role, we did have 36 partnerships proposal that have been viewed from various internal partnerships, from partnerships owners, partnership managers, and also school sites. You will hear me say a little bit about partnership owners and partnership managers. Again, those individuals are district staff that own or are responsible for a partnership within Doyle. So when I do say partnership owners and managers, those are the individuals that I'm referring to. And then, of course, we have our partnerships that live in our school. And I also want to say that, you know, a lot of these partnerships are reflective of, again, the collective commitment to ensuring that we are adhering to the people, purpose, pride, and making sure that the resources that we're bringing to the table are resources that are grounding and resources that are there to enhance our scholars and also our families and our staff, and for our scholars in particular to thrive academically. Next slide, please. So one of our grounding with the district has always been our board policy. I really wanted to make sure and to give you all a snapshot that we are adhering to our board policies. Now, within our partnerships, again, we do have those 3 levels in which a partnership could fall under. Low intensity, which is generally managed mostly at a school site or even a department. And the low intensity is based on the rubric scoring, which is between 7 and 14. And with that, there is no board notification. Now, low intensity, what that could mean is really determined on the number of students this partnership is supporting, or just as a whole. I hate to give an example of snacks, but I will just give that example. We have some partners who really are intentional about making sure that our schools and our scholars have snacks that are healthy and that support them throughout the day, right? So some of these partnerships fall under the low intensity because they don't have that direct one-on-one relationship with students, but yet they are able to provide this resource on a monthly basis or bi-monthly or in whichever capacity. So just a quick example of what that would be. And then, of course, we have our medium intensity partnerships. Our medium intensity partnerships are generally ones that are come through my office between myself, our admin, and also partnerships owners and partnerships managers. We take a look at this area right here and make sure that the rubric is scored at 15 to 24 points. Now, if it does fall under the medium partnership, it does require a board notification and also a superintendent approval. We do take both the medium and high intensity level seriously, I guess you could say, because those areas right there itself are really how we are forming the partnership and guiding the partnership. Being the medium intensity really takes a lot of communication and conversation, not just between the partnership's owner, the partnership managers, but also the partnership itself, and making sure that they understand that you being characterized in this medium intensity, this is your responsibility, and this is what we are looking for you to do. And then also our high intensity. Our high intensity pretty much mirrors the same qualifications as the medium intensity. But again, you can see the scoring is between the 25 and the 38. It does, again, require the superintendent approval and also the board approval. I will say that both the high and medium intensity partnerships also do require what we call an end of the year reporting. So that essentially means that every partner that falls under that category does have the responsibility to provide us with tangible data or a report that really speaks to the year in which they were of service to the school or to that department, to ensure that, you know, hey, how are we going to move forward? What are some of the things that we need to change? And also the intensity level itself can also change. So if we find that a partnership that was once a low intensity now becomes a medium intensity, then that's an opportunity for us to make an amendment to the contract or the MOA to get us where we need to be. And I also want to point out that all partnerships, again, this is really, really important, regardless if they are in the school in the school site or in the district site, does require, you know, we follow the board policies and included everything that is related to contracting, anything at all that is pertaining to the policy. We make sure that we are adhering to that. A lot of collaboration also in determining these intensity levels, working with our legal team, working with our risk management team, and then also working in conjunction with our teams at contracts. So all 3 areas really tie in together to ensure that every stakeholder, every partnership is listed within the correct intensity level. And if not, again, as I said earlier, we make sure that at the end of the year, when we're reviewing their MOA, that we are placing them in the correct level that the partnership needs to be in. Next slide, please. Partnerships and investment in education. A lot of our medium and high intensity partnerships are those partnerships that do have some sort of a dollar amount, financial obligation attached to it. So again, we wanted to give you a quick snippet of what some of those high, medium, and low intensity partnerships are within the district. I talked a little bit about a partnership going from a low intensity or moving up to a medium intensity or even a high intensity. One of those partnerships, a good example would be the Madison Reading Project. They were considered a low intensity partnership. Happy to say they are transitioning into medium intensity partnership because they are now going to be supporting our scholars district wide. Whereas in the past, they were only partnered with just certain schools. But now that we are going to be a district wide partner with them, they now have transitioned into what we call the medium intensity partnership. So as you can see right over there, some of our low intensity partnerships are Briar Patch, Upward Bound, Centers Without Chimneys, and a Grace. And some of these partnerships you probably didn't even know existed within the school district. Again, this is just an example of the varied many different partnerships that we do have at the district. Again, our medium intensity partnerships, our long-standing partnership with Simpson Street Free Press, African American History Bowl, Big Brothers Big Sisters, who's been a long-standing partner of the school district and providing mentorship for our youth, and also opportunities for some of our students in high school to be able to pour that back onto our youth in elementary school. And then some of our high intensity partnerships and partnerships that, again, have been with us for a very long time. Central Hispano, the Urban League, Behavioral Health in Schools, Face Kids, Madison College, People Program. So just kind of wanted to give you, again, a snippet of what a low intensity, medium intensity, and also a high intensity partnership, who these individuals are. Next slide, please. So with that, this last year, again, has been a year, a purposeful year, a year in really thinking about, when I first came into this role, a lot of people, they were just kind of knocking at the door. What do? We want to partner, we want to partner, we want to partner, right? And in a nutshell, you want to say yes to everybody. But really thinking about, what are some of the partnership spotlights that we have within the district. I talked a little bit about the Madison Reading Project. A longstanding community organization here in Madison who has a partnership with us, which again was considered low intensity because they only partnered with individual schools. And now that we are accelerating their partnership and going into a partnership where is a focus on all of our schools. As you can see, it's one of our partners that really provides that high quality books and literacy program. They continue to, engage with our scholars through events and book fairs. I mean, you could take a look at their website or any of the events that they are when they are in our sites and see how excited our scholars are to receive not just new books, but books that represent who they are. And I think that's one of the great things about being able to expand our partnership with the Madison Reading Project. Again, it's the possibilities that lie ahead and all the opportunities that we have to really make sure that this partnership speaks to literacy and is really able to support our scholars in a way that we want to make sure that we're pouring everything onto them. And then, of course, we are happy to share that we will be partnering with Focused Interruption. We know that violence prevention is something that is very dear to Dr. Gothard. So right away, when Dr. Gothard came on board, we started having these conversations of what are we going to do to make sure that we are supporting our scholars and our families and also our staff when it comes to violence prevention, right? Or anything that that speaks to making sure that the well-being of our scholars is intentional. So Focus Interruption is an organization that we are pleased to welcome to the Madison School District. They do a lot of great work in the community, mentoring, intervention, support with individuals that have been impacted by trauma and violence, and also supporting students with well-being, and again, just the overall look and umbrella under violence prevention. Now, I do want to make sure that I share with you all their partnership right now is not necessarily the focus on violence prevention. So I'm not saying that we're putting them in these sites or in these schools to make sure that violence prevention or violence is not occurring. We know that some of our neighborhoods and some of our schools do go through significant hardships. But we are excited to know that Focused Interruption will be one of those organizations that is there and it's ready to jump in. And in collaboration with our security department, working with Cedric Morris and also Gina, we're making sure that the collaboration between Focused Interruption, partnerships, and also a safety and security team is really impactful. And again, happy to bring on also Edgewood College. They are going to be supporting in the literacy era, of course, again, with our Mad for Reading campaign. They jumped on board. They have students right now who are excited and ready to go and ready to jump on board with literacy and with tutoring. So it's really refreshing to have Edgewood on board on a different capacity. And Edgewood is doing so much work behind the scenes to also support the students that are going to be in our buildings and having that opportunity to have those one-on-one mentoring and tutoring opportunities with our students. So wanted to highlight these 3 new partnerships that we are really, really excited to collaborate with. Next slide, please. Our future is so bright. Our future is so bright. I wanted to make sure that this slide was on here because I do believe that. We do have a lot of work to do. We all know that. But also it's fulfilling to be in this and to make sure that we are continuing the work. We are making sure that we are continuing the work and highlighting the arts within our schools and within our district. We are making sure that we are centering well-being and mental health, not only for our students, but also for staff. Really great things are coming with that. We are being really intentional about our community outreach, being really intentional about how we tell the stories of partnerships. I'm really proud to say that working with our communications team, we now have a forward-facing partnerships webpage. So if you have not seen it yet, please do take a look. It's an exciting webpage that really just highlights partnerships and all the good things that are happening with partnerships. And we are going to get to the point where we are highlighting a lot of our stakeholders and our partnerships and making sure that not just the district, but also the community is aware of who our partners are and the great work that they are doing for our district and also for our scholars. And we also want to make sure that our work in community engagement is also aligned with partnerships. I've been really fortunate and really excited to be able to tell the story of partnerships, to be out in the community and to hear the stories of partnerships and to hear from our stakeholders, and to have these opportunities to have these one-on-one engagement meetings with them, to hear the good and to hear the bad, right? I don't think that in order for us to move forward with this work, we have to be able to be present and we have to be able to take it in, right? We have to be able to listen to the stories. We have to be able to offer recommendations, and vice versa. This is not about what can they do for us, but this is a collaborative effort of how can we support each other, not just as a school district, but also as a partner. Next slide, please. And again, what is this going to look like for us, right? Partnerships moving forward. Relationships is the key. Relationships is really what is driving our work, and we want to make sure that we are centering that. I was actually at a conference today, and it fit in so well with today's presentation and being at that conference, because one of the things that was shared at the conference was that it takes people to really organize the work of partnerships, right? And I strongly believe that in order for us to really improve partnerships and continue putting our best foot forward, we really need to make sure that relationships are at the forefront of partnerships. We want to make sure that we are expanding the impact of partnerships, right? Making sure that access is available for all scholars, for families. And I do also want to say for staff, because we can't forget that, because our staff is not able to, we want to make sure that our staff is able to also have the tangible resources that they need so that they are able to pour that on to our families and to our scholars. So I also want to really make sure that we're always emphasizing our staff when we're talking about strategic partnerships. And again, aligning our partnerships with our district priorities is always at the forefront. College career community ready. I said it earlier, making sure that Dr. Gothard's framework of people, purpose, pride speaks to not only us as a district, but also our partners. And then also enhancing communications, of course, streamlining partnerships and making sure that we have clear and consistent communication with everyone, providing ongoing feedback to our partners. And also that feedback extends to all of our partners that live in our school sites, making sure that the communication with principals and secretaries, the one that usually have the layout of all partnerships, are being had. If they have any questions, that I'm able to provide them with those answers. And if I'm not, I want to be able to make sure that they will somehow receive those answers. And again, we want to make sure that we are ensuring success, right? We want to make sure that we are measuring impact, and we want to make sure that we are telling the story of partnerships. A lot of the ways in which we do that, and I said it a little bit earlier, is making sure that those end of the year reports from our partners are really those tangible reports that are telling the story, right? And having these opportunities to have meetings with our stakeholders, whether it be monthly meetings. A lot of our partners like to have monthly meetings. A lot of our partners like to have quarterly meetings in whatever capacity. We're being really, really intentional in making sure that we are scheduling that and being able to have these conversations with them in case anything comes up or if they have any questions at all. We want to make sure that we are intentional in providing them with the information that they need so that they are able to provide us with what it is that we're looking for in turn. So just wanted to say, we are really committed to deepening partnerships with a strong focus on community, with a strong focus on ensuring that, again, our policies are being adhered to. We cannot get away from that. That is really, really important. And making sure that as we move forward with strategic partnerships, that we are, again, being really, really intentional about how we bring in these partnerships, not just to the district, but also to our school sites. So thank you so much for the opportunity to just give you a quick glimpse of what it's been like this year. And again, really honored to be here tonight and to be able to be in this work with you all. Thank you.
Jesse, could you take us off screen share? Thank you so much, Sonia. I'll turn it back to you, Chair Muldrow.
Thank you so much, Cindy Green. Questions from my fellow board members? Board Member Nichols.
Thank you. Sonia, thank you. Take a deep breath.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. So there's a couple things that I wanted to well, first of all, let me just say thank you for your presentation, giving us an update on where things are with partnerships. I know that you're newer in the role, and we've had the partnerships work going on for many, many years. I guess there's two things that were like standing out to me in your presentation. So one is there's the engagement, the relationship, and the trust building work around our partnerships work that I definitely heard you saying loud and clear is really important. And we've got some relationships maybe to strengthen, giving people face time and being present and being seen as a critical part of the work. So thank you for doing that. The other part of our partnerships work, though, which I guess I want to highlight from my perspective, is that it does need to be strategic. And I feel like for the time that I was in the district and now on the board, it has not always felt like, and this is not directed at you, Sonia, this is just a statement. It has not felt like we've always been able to get to the place of being strategic, meaning we have a few narrow, high priority areas and opportunities that we want to be able to bring in for our students, like more opportunities with the arts, which, we did some of that partnership work in summer school, or we know that there are more students that need industry certification connections, right, to like things happening in the real world. And I guess I wonder, how do you see moving forward with being able, and this might be more of a Dr. Gothard question, but like us getting clearer on what are kind of the top needs that we've heard students say they want, that staff are craving for, and how do we get more strategic about like seeking those partnerships to really bolster our district? Yeah, so just whoever might be best served to answer that, I think, is one question I'm thinking.
I can start, and then if whoever else wants to jump in, that would be great. I thank you for elevating that, which I absolutely agree. One of the things that I have come to witness within this past year is that student voice, right? That youth voice when it actually comes to strategic partnerships or to partnerships as a whole, right? Most of the time we are interacting with district staff and also school leaders and principals and saying, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? But how often are we really interacting with our students and saying, tell me what you want, right? And I say this because, again, I feel as if the day for this meeting was really intentional because of also being at that conference today. And Dr. Gothard actually spoke a little bit about his visits at school sites and hearing from the kids and having the students tell him what kind of resources or opportunities they want. So after hearing that and just thinking about the rest of the year, I was like, that is really, really important, right? So to me, I think leveraging that student voice and also family voice is going to be really crucial on how we navigate partnerships and what we bring to the table, because it can't be all about what we need as a district. I think it has to be, we always say, a whole family approach, right? It has to be intentional in making sure that all voices are being heard and how we move forward with it.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, because I do think that there's a set of things that we'll know as like the adults or like the department leads, and then trying to match what we think is best with what students are saying they really want, I think is a critical part of us getting and becoming more strategic. And when I say more strategic, I don't mean that we have not been strategic at all.
Absolutely.
It's just that sometimes when you have a lot of partnerships, it's hard to feel like you're making as much impact with those additional resources, without kind of prioritizing and elevating a few things. So I appreciate that. My follow-up question is, I noticed in a couple of your slides, you know, when you brought up our policy, the high intensity partners, when I look at that list of high intensity partners, they've been high intensity partners forever. I mean, there's not a lot of new high intensity partners, maybe one or two, but that list, I mean, some of these partners have been with this district for over a decade. And my wondering is how long is a high intensity partner? How long do we have to have a high intensity partner kind of going through the cycle of like the every 3 years with the MOA, the reports, the evaluation before we maybe I don't know if it's like moving them to a different level or something, but I know you didn't come tonight with a policy recommendation because you know it's board policy. But I guess I bring this up to say I would love for us to consider maybe some shifts in our board policy that really leverages like those high intensity partners that have been with us for a long time. If we think that they over the years have given us strong enough evidence and have adjusted and adapted over the years based on our feedback back to them, like is there another classification that maybe they would move into after a certain amount of years or something? And I say this not because I don't think mutual accountability is important. I do, but I also think it's a lot of work. There's just a lot of work, not only for the partnerships team, but also the partners. And if we're not really going to cancel a high intensity partnership, I would love for us to be thinking about that differently. So that's not a directive. That's just me kind of thinking out loud. Because even when I was in the district, I was feeling like something about the high intensity partners felt a little off. Not the partners themselves, the way that we were approaching the high intensity partnership. So that's what I mean by that. So nothing for you to have to respond to, Sonia. I just want to thank you so much for all of your work and for getting in there in your first year and learning a lot about how we do partnerships and how you need to engage folks in the process.
Thank you, Nichelle. I do appreciate you bringing this up because I think also one of my drives, again, you know, is making sure that we're listening, we're hearing what you guys have to say, right? And this is a great example of, you know, how do we now move forward and really take a look at these high intensity partnerships and think about it in a different light. So thank you for bringing that up, and I do appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Board Member Mosner Southam.
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation and for all your work. I've got a couple questions. I guess my first is that, you know, I heard you say people like calling off the hook, we want a partner, we want a partner, we want a partner. And then we end up saying we don't want to say, or we're not saying yes to all of those offers, based on like the drive for like particular types of alignment. I'm wondering, what options do community members and community groups have for supporting our students that are not partnerships connected to your office?
Absolutely. Thank you for raising that question. Now, my comment in saying that was that, yes, there are a lot of people. I mean, I get texts and messages on Facebook saying we do want to partner, right? I think that the way that partnerships is viewed, when I'm able to sit down and have a conversation with a individual or organization that is interested in partnering, and there are certain things that we ask from them as a district. One of those things is our insurance policy, right? Our insurance that has to be also adhered to. And I can tell you that some organizations do struggle with that because it's an insurance requirement that can be a lift for some of our organizations. So what I'd like to say is, why don't you take the opportunity to go volunteer at one of our school sites? Have an opportunity to go to the building and support a school event. Or make sure you're connecting with the school, call the school and volunteer. I think it's important for, it's one thing for an organization to say, I want to partner, but I think it's also important for that organization or an individual to get the feel of that school or that building. I think it's important for them to be on the ground, to be able to see that community, to be able to engage with that community, which opens up the door for volunteering opportunities, right? And volunteering in a school site can look and feel different in so many ways. It could be an individual coming in to support a classroom, to read to a student, to support during lunch or recess. Now that we're coming back to the days where we're now inviting excuse me, inviting our communities back into our school sites, it makes sense now to have those individuals in our school sites offering whatever resources or opportunities they have to just be present and be there to volunteer in any capacity. So I encourage volunteering because I think volunteering really speaks a lot to how an individual or organization connects with that community.
Great. I appreciate that answer a lot. If someone wanted to volunteer in one of our schools, and they're thinking, I want to partner with the schools, they don't call you, who do they call?
So we do have a process for volunteers that they need to follow. They do have to sign up with it's a volunteer app, of course. It is going to be transitioning into another platform, but they have to follow the volunteer app. We do encourage them. We do have a volunteer coordinator in the role, but if they're not able to communicate with her, they communicate with me. We do encourage them to connect directly with that school principal or the school secretary, and making sure that the school secretary is also able to provide them with the proper information and the steps in which they need to get cleared for volunteering. Now, there are different levels of also volunteering. So depending on what the individual or the organization is interested in doing, they have to be cleared for whichever level in which they are trying to volunteer.
Cool, thank you. I wonder about in the feedback process or you were talking about like some people like to meet quarterly, some people like to meet on different timetables. I'm just looking for your reassurance that we're also asking for feedback from community orgs. When I talk to people in the community, sometimes they're like, I couldn't figure it out. So can you talk a little bit about how you, or just affirm to me that you're also asking for feedback? I'm assuming you're doing that.
Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in that this work cannot be done alone. I am not the holder of partnerships. I am here to support our district and to make sure that I'm also reaching out to our stakeholders and asking them, what do they need from me? What do they want from me? Right. And I think that's really, really important. I think that in this role, in any role that we serve and have within the district or anywhere, I think learning is continuous learning is really, really important. I guess for me, I see it differently because again, this work is important and it is intentional. And I want to make sure that has the, somebody who oversees strategic partnerships, I want to also be able to know that I'm receiving feedback from our stakeholders and our partners that are going to enhance partnerships and that are going to elevate the work that I'm doing, that are going to support me in my growth. So I'm constantly asking our partners that, what do you need from me? What can I do to support you? And based on that information, then we move forward with, hey, I need more communication with your principal, or I need more time in your building, or I need quicker responses when I'm emailing somebody at school, or partnership owner or partnership manager within the district. So all of that, I'm soaking it all in and making sure that I'm also being vulnerable and listening to what they have to say.
Great. I appreciate those examples a lot. And then I guess my last, my last question is like, no, actually, I think that does it. I think that does it for me. Thank you so much for your answers and for your work and for your presentation.
Thank you.
Sonia, I'm going to add myself to the queue, and then I would love to hear from my fellow board members. I'm curious about results related to partnerships. So I think about kind of what are the outcomes of a specific partnership that is, providing support in a way that we want to expand. How do outcomes determine whether or not we want to expand a program? So how are we measuring the results related to any given partnership, and how are we using those to inform our expansion?
That's a really good question. Thank you. And I'm just going to be really transparent again, being the first year and really trying to, especially when we're thinking about, again, our high intensity, right? And as long as they've been a part of our district and supporting our students. And I don't want to use Simpson Street Free Press as an example, but Simpson Street Free Press would be one of those examples of our long-standing partnership. They are one of those partnerships that is really intentional in ensuring that their mid-year reports, in addition to their end of the year reports, are always provided to us, to the partnerships office. So with that report, we have an opportunity to come together as a team, take a look at the report, and really see where the impact was, right? It's also, it's thinking beyond. It's not just about having these students create these stories within to be published, right? It's thinking about how has this improved their literacy in their classrooms, in their school, in their schools. How has it even helped with their mental health, right? Do we have students that were once shy, but now that they've been able to be in this platform and have been able to create these beautiful stories, how are they now engaging with their communities? What are parents telling us about their students being able to have this opportunity to tell stories? It's deeper than that. It's not just about, okay, thank you for the numbers, and it's great to see that you've added 5 more writers into the program. But how were these 5 writers before they came into the program? So these are kind of things that we're taking a look at it. And I bring it up because it is, Simpson Street Free Press. I have a wonderful relationship with Jim. So he's been really intentional in bringing me into the partnership and saying, okay, Sonia, this is what's going on. This is what we have. These are the new students that we have going on. So that would just be an example of really being intentional and seeing how has this program been impactful with this student, and what does it look like now for them in their school community.
I greatly appreciate the highlighting of Simpson Street Free Press and the work they've done long-term with the district and the community. I myself was a reporter for the Simpson Street Free Press. I benefited greatly from a series of partnerships, including 100 Black Men and Juventud Mas. And I think that approach to kind of the impact and using that as a way to gauge how we can get the kids who need that partnership involved in that partnership is really a powerful testament to kind of the quality of the work and that sense of shared accountability to our young people and their families. So I think my last question for you, Sonia, is what can we as a board do to support you in this role, to support your work, to highlight our partnerships and to celebrate them? I think it's obviously important that we recognize the strengths of our partnerships, but if our partnerships are struggling, I think being available to provide the support to navigate that struggle in collaboration is something I think we want to embrace as a district and a board. So I'm really glad you're doing this work. I think you are absolutely the right person for this role. I've known you in our community for a very long time. I know how much you love this district. What can we do to make your life a little bit easier? What can we do to make sure that you're getting what you need to do this work well?
That's a great question. That's a really, really great question. I can tell you that this this work really involves a lot of individuals that are willing to be intentional on how we bring partnerships together, right? This work cannot be done alone. Um, I I believe, and I think the way that in which you all can help with partnerships is to just making sure that you are present, that you are able to provide those tangible feedback, also communication, making sure that also, our partners are able to have those opportunities to be in front of you during those board meeting moments where they can speak about their partnerships. A lot of times it's just us within the building that are able to really hear the results, but I think it's also really important for them to be able to share that, good or bad, with you so that we can work together to make sure that we are finding ways to either fix problems or celebrate all the good that is happening with partnerships. So for me, I think just being intentional and making sure that partnerships is an area where it's not being swept under the rug. I want to make sure that I'm in this space where I can connect with you all and say, hey, let's talk about the policy. Maybe it is time to rethink the policy and get some things changed a bit. Because again, the policy has been intact for many, many years. Is it time? Sometimes I feel like it is time, but then sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe it's not time because, we're kind of also starting over. But, that would definitely be an area to just kind of, think about, to connect with and really look at the policy and see, is the policy hurting or is the policy really improving the partnerships that we are bringing into the table?
I so greatly appreciate your response to that question. And I just want you to know I'm extending that question to you long term. So if you think about something tomorrow and you're like, I wish I would have told them that this is what we really need. We're still your board members tomorrow. I do think like the thing I want to get at is that I think it's easy to take for granted when a partnership is going really well. It's easy to just kind of like treat it as this mechanical thing and forget about the people who make that really high quality work possible. And so I don't want to take for granted all of the resources and support and grant writing and dedication that goes into this. And I also think that when partnerships go badly, there is a temptation to engage in a variety of blame. Is it our fault? Is it their fault? And we forget that we're working together in the interests of young people. And so I would really like to move away from taking partnerships for granted. And I would really like to move away from that dynamic of blame and have this kind of shared leadership, collective responsibility model that I think you are the perfect person to champion for this district. And so thank you so much for joining us this evening. Do we have other questions for my fellow board members? All right, I'm not hearing any questions. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion
Aye.
carries 6-0. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, y'all.
Have a good night, everyone.